Now we come to the actual honorary lectures, and we have 2 honorary lectures that are annual at the Congress, and one is named after our fine colleague Stanley Fahn and is dedicated to a person who has made very, very significant clinical contributions in movement disorders. And then the second is named after our late colleague, David Marsden, and that is for a basic science or a physiology, a laboratory, in most cases, award. And so we have these as 2 very nicely balanced in the effort of a translational theme of our Congress here. So it is very much my pleasure to announce that the committee, and this goes through the Congress Scientific Program Committee, then through the Awards Committee, then through the officers. There are several layers of election here. But the person who has won this award this year is my close colleague, Dr. Cynthia Comella. And this is an enormous pleasure for me to be able to stand at the podium and announce Cindy, because she and I have worked together for many, many years, really our full career. At any rate, Cindy is an internationally renowned researcher in terms of dystonia, in terms of sleep, in terms of Parkinson's disease, but when it comes down to what would she lecture to us about, she chose a very lovely theme, and that's about leadership and about mentorship. And I think that if we all sort of remember all the contributions of Cindy now and in the future, it will be that she was a fabulous teacher and that she brought young people forward in the society, in neurology, specifically in movement disorders. So it's my pleasure to announce Cindy as the Stanley Fahn awardee for this year and to listen to her wisdom in terms of her lecture. Cindy, please come.
Here we go. Well, after that inauspicious beginning, I am deeply honored to be selected to give the Stanley Fahn Lectureship. Stan is a role model both for leadership and mentorship for most of us here. I'm going to focus today on the career pathway in movement disorders, highlighting the crucial roles of leadership and mentorship, and basing my presentation on the thoughtful comments of Stan and the other leaders of the Movement Disorder Society. These are the key points that I will include in my presentation. First, I will focus on leadership, the attributes of leadership. I will emphasize that one is not born a leader, but it is a skill that can be acquired. I will highlight the words of those who have successfully transformed our society into one of the leading subspecialty societies in neurology. Next, I will focus on mentorship. This is the critical component that leads to a successful career. I will highlight the fundamentals of mentorship and define what makes an excellent mentor and what makes an excellent mentee, providing the words from the MDS leaders to the young investigator. The quotes I will be using throughout this presentation are derived from this recently published book, Leadership in Movement Disorders. In this book, which was edited predominantly by Suzanne Schneider, the leaders of the Movement Disorder Society describe their leadership experiences in their own words and provide advice to the future leaders of the society. Let's start with the first question. What makes a great leader? One of the myths of leadership is that some people have it and some don't, but it's not a genetic trait and it is not an inborn talent. The truth is that leadership is an observable set of skills and abilities that can be purposefully acquired. Oops. This is going to get me one way or the other. These are the presidents of the Movement Disorder Society. Each of these remarkable individuals has made significant contributions to the Movement Disorder Society, transforming it into the international society we know today. And each has done it in their own way. What is not shown here are the additional leaders that have taken on education, the journals, the regional sections, and other aspects of the Movement Disorder Society, leaving their unique mark in each effort through their effective leadership. We will not all be president, yet we can each contribute through our leadership through these individual efforts. Let me start with the words of Stanley Fahn. As the first president, he had the vision of having a united Movement Disorder Society and was one of the founders. He emphasizes that his leadership ability is largely due to listening to others, getting their opinions, and incorporating all sides into the solution. For those of us who know Stan, he is not the first one at a meeting to speak. Often you will see him sitting, listening intently before he talks. So what are the characteristics of an excellent leader? Credibility is the foundation of leadership. If you don't have faith in the messenger, it is difficult to believe the message. Aristotle was one of the first to define credibility. In his words, credibility consists of ethos, or trustworthiness, logos, which is expertise, and pathos, which is dynamism. However, to be a leader, there must be an additional component of being forward-looking, asking the question, where are we going? This we'll define as a vision. Hence, effective leadership consists not only of credibility, but credibility with a vision, a pathway forward. There are numerous books that outline the practices of successful leadership. Although the terminology may vary, the tenets are very similar. I will use the practices as outlined by the Leadership Challenge, a book that is very familiar to some of you in the audience, particularly those of you who have taken the LEAP course. The 5 practices of exemplary leadership, according to this model, is number 1, model the way; 2, inspire a shared vision; 3, challenge the process; 4, enable others to act; and 5, encourage the heart. So how does one model the way? The first important step is really to understand your own values. This is a process that requires self-reflection and a determination of what is important to you. Once you understand your own values, you must set the example of behaviors that exemplify these values. You must do what you say you are going to do and follow through on promises and commitments you make. An important gauge of how well you do is by asking others for feedback. How am I doing? Could I do this any better? And finally, you want to clarify the values of those around you in order to ensure that these are shared values and that everyone is on the same page, or at least in the same book. Victor Fahn highlights this. In his own words, he recognizes the importance of knowing core values and sharing them with the team. He notes that his experience has taught him to lead by example, not by empty words. It's all in how you conduct the journey. Werner Pove expands this to include those principles in Aristotle. In his experience, being credible and having demonstrated expertise are crucial to setting the example. He observes that this requires commitment, energy, and hard work. The second practice is to inspire a shared vision. This is often the most difficult practice for leaders to achieve. It requires that one looks to the future. What are the possibilities? What do we want the world to look like? In order to have a vision of the future, one must reflect on the past and be present in the present. What do you want to change? What should come next? It's very similar to the game of chess, in which your next move depends on past moves and the current status of the chessboard. However, to be effective, one has to engage others in this vision of the future. Having a lone vision may be called a hallucination. Those around you must share in your aspirations in order to be effective. You cannot authentically lead others to places they do not want to go. Joe Jankovic is very clear about this in his experience. He notes that one must be inspirational to those around you to achieve a common goal. It is only with a shared vision that objectives can be accomplished efficiently and cohesively and appropriately. The third practice is to challenge the process. This practice contradicts the concept that life is business as usual. This practice involves questioning the status quo and acting upon opportunities for change. We often think of this on a personal level as we strive for individual recognition in our field. But for a leader, it involves thinking of the future of a group or of a society. However, there is no change without risk. And with risk, there is always the potential for failure. When failure occurs, it's in reality a lesson for moving forward with the knowledge that sometimes modifications are necessary to succeed. Striving to achieve small wins may be more effective. Celebrating these small wins can get you where you would like to be. I think that the MDS exemplifies this concept of challenging the process. In 1985, Eduardo Tolosa, Stanley Fahn, Andrew Lees, Joseph Jankovic, and David Marsden met in Hamburg, Germany, and the Movement Disorder Society was created. During this meeting, they challenged the process, the concept that a small group of subspecialists could not organize into a successful society. From this humble beginning, the Movement Disorder Society was created. It now has approximately 9,000 members, 2 prestigious journals, an educational program that meets the needs of all the members, and an international congress that has grown from 850 participants in 1990 to 5,800 participants at this meeting. Francisco Cardoso emphasizes the concept that in challenging the process, there must be clear and shared goals with realistic and achievable milestones. It is the small victories that lead to the big one. But without a strategy to bring these to fruition, this is difficult to achieve. He points out that in order to successfully challenge the process, it requires perseverance and determination over long periods of time. The fourth practice is to enable others to act. In essence, as a leader takes on the responsibility of fostering and growing other leaders, a leader must provide an environment in which others can develop the competence as well as the confidence to act and excel. As a part of this, a leader should foster collaborations both within and outside their organizations. In this way, each one feels a part of the team with a commitment to the success of the team. In order to accomplish this, there has to be trust in the leader, that the success of the team and each of the members is clearly the agenda. Without trust, you cannot lead effectively. Gunther Deutschel comments on the necessary conditions that will enable others to act. He notes that each member of the group should have a role that is clearly defined and not ambiguous or unrealistic. Further, each member of the group must be visible and recognized. There should not be a member who lurks in the background without acknowledgement for their contribution to the whole. This provides the environment for allowing each individual of the team to accomplish a goal without passiveness or aggressiveness. Shilpa Chitnis adds to this by commenting on the importance of feedback, of learning from the perspective of someone else, listening to their ideas, and changing processes that can be changed. She notes there is nothing more meaningful than empowering the dreams of others. The last practice, and perhaps one of the most important, is to encourage the heart. This practice is one of celebration. Individual recognition for successful work is the key to this practice. Leaders expect the best of people and expect extraordinary actions and results. They do this by providing unambiguous and achievable goals, feedback, and reinforcement. Successful achievements must be celebrated, personally or publicly, perhaps by a thank you in a group meeting, inclusion as an author in a manuscript, or mention from a podium for a contribution. Marina Tyson finds that inspiring the young movement disorder specialists goes a long way towards encouraging the heart. Important to this is providing a safe and supportive atmosphere in which people can thrive and paying personal attention to their needs. By providing meaningful opportunities for junior faculty to develop, as well as recognition, are ways to celebrate them that may be more subtle than overt praise. Bass-Bloom adds to this, noting that the strength of the team is always to consider the position of others first. After all is said and done, no one can say it better than Mark Hallett. People should do what they enjoy doing. Bottom line, to end where I began, the idea is to have fun. Matt Stern provides a note of caution about an error that leaders can frequently make. If a leader puts their agenda above all others, the concept of a group effort is no longer shared. This will cause a loss of trust in the leader and end up with conflict, recriminations, and loss of respect. In my next section, I will address the question of the qualities of a great mentor and mentee. I would guess that in this audience, the one thing that most desire is either to have a good mentor or to be a good mentor. Without effective mentorship, leadership becomes an almost impossible goal. This quote from Steven Spielberg captures the role of the mentor. The delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. Mentors must focus on developing the unique talents of the individual they are mentoring and not in creating a mini-me. This quote from Kajal, from his book Advice for a Young Investigator, captures the concerns of many young investigators and the need for mentorship. Shall we leave the beginner to his own devices, confused and abandoned, struggling without guidance or advice, along a path strewn with difficulties and dangers. I think some of us have had this feeling trying to navigate the convention center. Christopher Getz, who has given the Cajal book to all his incoming fellows, provides this advice to a young investigator. Choose an area to study that really interests you. Be brave enough to turn away from bad opportunities and stick with the ideas and interests that fascinate you. As you go through your career, there are many bright, shiny objects that will try to divert your attention. Focus on your interests and on your passions. Tony Lang outlines the qualities that a young investigator needs to succeed. He emphasizes perseverance and hard work, acquiring the skills of collaboration and organization, and being an enthusiastic part of the team. And hearkening back to Mark Hallett, he notes, love what you do. Oscar Gershanik, past president of the MDS, who received the award today, and who developed the MDS leadership program, LEAP, gives this advice to the young investigator. You should take personal satisfaction from what you are doing and appreciate the recognition by patients for your care and dedication. Strive for peer recognition of your expertise. And remember that those who do nothing, although less prone to make mistakes, are also less likely to achieve success. The keys to understanding mentorship are noted here. First of all, mentorship is a relationship. It's not necessarily a friendship, although many relationships end up being friendships as well. In fact, it is a time-limited, two-way relationship with specific goals. This means that one may have a different mentor for different periods of career growth, and one mentee may have more than one mentor at a given time. This is because mentors can play many roles. They can be advisors on research or personal development. They can be a coach providing suggestions about specific topics. They can be a champion or sponsor providing opportunities for research participation or involvement in an educational session, and perhaps even at this Congress. They may also be a challenger, asking the courageous questions about career direction and focus. In fact, mentors can have many roles, and some will assume more than one role. When establishing a mentor-mentee relationship, there are certain commitments that both make to each other. For the mentor, making the time to take the call or meet with their mentor is critical. For the mentee, having specific goals for the meetings is paramount. Both mentor and mentee agree to be active listeners without fear of asking courageous, sometimes challenging questions. The mentor provides the suggestions to the mentee based on their own experience, whereas the mentee provides the energy and the determination to incorporate these suggestions into a plan of action for the future. Carly Tanner eloquently summarizes the ideal mentorship relationship. She describes her experience with a mentor who recognized her potential, believed that she would succeed, provided her with the opportunities, and then stepped back and allowed her to take responsibility for her successes. Her mentor was available to her when she needed him, and finally delighted in her success. No. Okay. To end, I want to come full circle from the quote by Stan Fahn, the first president, and provide a quote from Claudia Trinkwalder, our current MDS president. Stan talked about listening. Claudia says, "My greatest strength is that I am really interested in people, in the big and wonderful diversity of humans, of their different cultures, talents, and ways of working. I like to listen to people, to observe them. I am not primarily a talker. Therefore, I am able to find out what their talents and their strengths are. In summary, what I've tried to cover here are the aspects of leadership as an acquired skill, not one that we're born with, and to describe the qualities of what an excellent leader is. And we have had many of them in this society. Secondly, I wanted to discuss mentorship, which is a partner to leadership, as a relationship with goals that may vary over time and requires the engagement of the mentor and the mentee in the process, respectfulness, and most of all, listening. And finally, I want to say that the MDS has proven its interest in development of young leaders. I want to thank the MDS for realizing the importance of leadership. The LEAP class includes young movement disorder specialists and provides them with the tools to develop their leadership skills and have fun on the way in their journey to leadership. Thank you. This is tricky.
Cindy, we'd like to give you this plaque and thank you for the inspirational talk and also for all the leadership that you've given for so many years.